Test, test. Test, test. Test, 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 test. Cool. All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having yourselves a fantastic start to the AM here. Are feeling sharp, refreshed, recharged, and ready to go for, what should hopefully be a relatively interesting trading week. Obviously, right, the big narrative over the weekend, right, were the rumors of the China deal. It's hard to not say China the way Trump says it, China. Rumors, right, of that trade deal being resolved here. Or I think the term that the Chinese delegation used was starting to find a consensus. So who knows what that actually means. But markets are reacting to that very, very positively, right? Massive move here higher, pushing markets almost, right, to green on the year, which I think is pretty impressive. And this has been one heck of a rally now at this point. Obviously, the big concern, right, with a move of this size is that the action here has happened overnight. So historically, right, when you get those really big gap up days, it ends up just being a session where things get a little bit sticky and things get a little bit slow. Hopefully, right, that isn't the case. I'd love to have a nice and busy and stress-free day. But let's make sure, right, that we're being deliberate and we're being specific and we're being honestly just patient, right, for the right opportunity for us here today, and then maximize our risk reward ratios, put ourselves in good situations, and just set ourselves up for what should be a really interesting trading week. This weekend, right, it was one where I was in the lab. Spent a little bit of time here reviewing kind of my trading over the last, we'll say 3 weeks, right? Not counting the week I took off, driving across Canada. And A few things, right? Just noticed a couple patterns that I think I can take advantage of, things that should hopefully help me avoid getting faked out. And yeah, I think it was an appropriate time to do so. Kind of felt a little bit like I kept hitting home runs like on 2 strikes, right? Which is not necessarily the most sustainable type of trading. And I want to make sure that the technique, right, is a little bit more stable here, right, and a little bit more kind of consistent. And so, yeah, worth kind of talking about that here very briefly this morning. Did post a video or 2 videos in the Discord about that last night. So hopefully you had the opportunity to watch them, particularly the first video. First video is like 10 minutes long. But effectively what it is, right, is if the first candle that breaks out from the opening range is a fake out, then you're expecting a fake out there to the other side prior to the aggressive move happening. If it's like a clean textbook breakout, then you need to see that breakout occur on volume, right? Or the next candle to occur on separation, separation on volume, right? So we're going to be basically effectively waiting for either of those scenarios here this morning, seeing which one sort of sets up. If we get the high volume momentum breakout, right, with that size gap up this morning, then we're going to be looking to be aggressive early. If we see that sort of failed breakout here to start the session off, then that's probably going to slow us down here just a little bit and yeah, kind of protect us, right, from any sort of chaotic type price action. Really, the fundamental objective here is basically make the money in 3 trades, right, instead of in 12 trades. And I think, you know, those days where I get those 12 trades or those 9 trades or those 10 trades, those aren't good trading days. Those are ones that I'm basically trading until I bail myself out. And those are like Band-Aid solutions, right, instead of long-term kind of steps forward. And I think ultimately adding this little extra filter, it's a nice little natural evolution here of the technique. And it's something that I think is worth, right, exploring and worth trading. So just gives us an extra little contextual clue based on the enthusiasm of the PA there to start the session off. And hopefully, right, we can use that information here successfully and put ourselves in good situations or easy situations for us to have some joy. Yeah, so with that being said, right, I also want to stress that these sort of evolutions, these things are healthy, right? This is sort of the path or the process of being a trader. You know, you learn things, you see new patterns, you see evolutions, you see new skills, and it's basically about detaching your ego from your technique and just always in that pursuit, right, of getting better and improving and putting in kind of like the dirty work, right? So the way that I traded 10 years ago is different than how I trade here now. The way I traded last year, right, is different to how I trade now. And they're not like opposites, right? It's just, it's the story of evolution, right? Each week, each month, each year, you get a little bit better. You take up new data points. You start to see things a little bit differently. And so you start to add those things to your quiver, right? And you deploy yourself a very lethal and hopefully, right, profitable addition to the technique. So optimistic about what this is going to show for us. And hopefully, right, that does make just process or progress a little bit easier and a little bit more consistent. And yeah, hopefully we can have some fun with it, right? And all those sort of wonderful things. So obviously, right, this week is going to be a pretty heavy focus on just kind of further training my eye over what I want to be seeing, basically fighting back against some of those maybe like impulsive trades, right, that were kind of coming together. And yeah, I'm excited for this. Again, I don't think this is going to be, it's not like a huge philosophical shift or anything along those lines. It just gives us reasons to slow down if we don't get clean breakouts. And then it gives us a way to basically trade those fake out scenarios once price action does behave that way. There's probably like a And this is just a little thought that creeped in my head here just now, but there's probably a way of us also then being able to trade the double fake out, right? So if we're getting that fake out here to the upside, trading that fake out there to the downside, certainly could be something that we could talk about at some point, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, and probably not something I'm going to look at here this week. But ultimately, right, I think getting a little bit better, this is sort of the stuff that has to happen, right? So you look at your trading from a larger sample size, you see sort of maybe patterns that are costing you money, and then you look for solutions to those patterns, right? Once you have an appropriate data set. And this for me was something that, I felt was an appropriate kind of evolution to make here. So I'm excited to see how markets kind of shape up and come together. At some point here, probably this week or maybe on the weekend, once my understanding, I would say, of this has improved a little bit, I'll make sure I put together like a little document for everyone and make sure that we're all on the same page. So just bear with me there for a couple of days while I basically train my eye to figure out the sort of exceptions and the variants and all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, should be a really interesting session based off of that information. And I'm looking forward to sharing this sort of journey and this evolution with you all here today. All right. So like we mentioned, right, today is a tariff pump Monday. We've got a little bit of some Fed speak here today. I did do the date correctly on YouTube. Good. So we do have a little bit of Fed speak here today, right? Nothing too crazy. And then we've got on the other economic calendar, some Fed balance stuff, fine, but nothing too insane. So it should be a relatively interesting, right? Trading day again, right? The reaction to the tariff announcements or the trade deal announcements is going to be what sort of dominating, I would say, markets here this morning. So let's see if there is still any momentum left. If not, right, we're going to look to take advantage of sort of that mean reversion type scenario. All right. So let's start mapping things out here. Good morning, everybody. Hope you all had yourselves a great weekend. And yeah, let's have ourselves a great trading day, figure out what we want to do here this morning. And let's go. So first things first here, team, what's the count on ES? Let's start there. And let's have ourselves a Monday. Yeah, inside bar and then really big breakout here this morning. So I think it's probably fair to say that we kind of have like a little bit of that bull flag breakout type scenario here this AM, right? If this was our bull flag, then kind of seems like we're getting a pretty nice little pop above that area of resistance, right? Or above that pattern. So we're going to look for that continuation narrative. And then obviously, right, just the biggest concern is historically when the indexes or any really ticker makes such a big move overnight, there's just a lot of profit taking, right, that happens. And so maybe that will create a mean reversion scenario. We'll see if any other further comments come out about the trade deals here this AM. But there is a reason to basically maintain flexibility in both directions, albeit with a pretty strict, or maybe not strict, a pretty strong bullish bias here this AM. Pretty hard for me to not look at this as like a no longer, right? And I said this probably a little bit last week, but it's no longer like a bearish bounce. This is pretty much bullish enthusiasm here, and no longer feeling or behaving as if it's a bear market. That being said, right, doesn't mean that bears can't slow down or catch their breath here again for us. But yeah, certainly opens up some new environments. We're at 58.50 here pre-market, right, or approximately 58.50. So starting point here is going to be pre-market highs, which is 58.70. And then to the upside, maybe we can go up towards like, 6,000 is probably a little bit aggressive, but like 59.50, right? Maybe it's kind of our starting point there. Would be a pretty nice sized move. So fill that in, right? 10 points along the way. Cool. And then to the downside here, basically it'd be just a mean reversion trade back down towards 57.50. So, I mean, that's probably a little bit aggressive, full stop, just to start the day off. So we'll go like 5,800, right, as our starting point here. All right, and looks pretty clean. Okay, NQ, similar, not so similar. How do we feel? Yeah, similar story, same story. Did I somehow remove my it's the wrong one. Okay. Right, and same thing, inside bar, we're looking for that bull flag breakout. So not much changing from that perspective. And then levels wise, we're at 2,900. So we're going to look at 21,000, right, as our starting point here to the upside. Crazy numbers. Oh my gosh, I can't type. 21.1, 21.2, 21.3. Right, and then to the downside here, maybe like 26, going down to 24, and then down to 20,000. Fantastic. All right. CL, what's the count here? How do we feel? Yeah, 2 out of 3 there to the upside without volume, right? So same count that we had there on Friday. We're creeping up to roll week here. So we got a little bit of time, but Friday is going to be a little bit of an interesting trading day. We're at 63.10 here pre-market. Pre-market high is called 63.50. So we're going to be targeting 64, right, and beyond. And then like 64.50. Excuse me. 65, 65, 50, 66, and then hiccups all of a sudden. Sorry. And then to the downside here, right, targeting 61. Well, 60, 50, 60, 59, 50, 59, 58, 50, 58. So plenty of room there, right, for us in either direction. Again, a little bit of a bullish bias here, but we'll see if we can get any element of like enthusiastic PA. If we can, should be a relatively joyful session. If not, I'll be happy to sit on hands and basically, kind of just let the market figure out what it wants to do. I think probably like if bears are going to be back in control here today, or we're going to say that we have a bearish market here today, right? Or we have a bearish trend, maybe is the right way of describing it. Then we would need to see a very aggressive rejection from bears, right? Some sort of maybe reversal of the entire move, or at least a very large percentage of that move. So it's probably a little bit of a lower like probability type scenario here, but worth having that plan either way. You just never know what markets are going to do. And really just what I'm cheering for here, right, is kind of like smooth, clean, consistent conditions. And from there, right, we should be in really, really good shape. Okay, Apple, massive gap up, obviously, right? So this is a 1 for 3 to the downside, massive gap up. And this again, right, would be textbook scenarios like a BB reversal type trade. For those of you who remember trading those opportunities with us, kind of really setting up for those types of opportunities. Tesla giving us a really nice little bull flag breakout, 3 for 3 here to the upside. So this would be bullish only. Oops. All right, cool. Microsoft here, inside bar, decent gap up. So again, right, looking for a breakout. Amazon, whoa, monster gap. Cool. AMD, inside bar, big gap up as well. And again, right, we're expecting massive gap ups across the board. Sweet. NVIDIA, earnings still in a couple weeks. Lower low, lower high, decreasing volume, 1 for 3 here to the downside. And then again, right, massive gap. Meta, probably the strongest bearish candle we've seen of the bunch. But again, right, monster gap up. And again, not supported by an impressive volume standard there on Meta. So 1 for 3 here to the downside, and then massive gap up. I do not, Vinny. I do not. In reality here, right? Like when I'm on the West Coast, right? Like I am now. When I'm going through my prep here, this is the first time I'm looking at markets here this morning, right? I woke up at 5:30, jump on the stream here at 6. So I don't have a tremendous amount of time to look at stuff but beforehand. Yeah, for sure. It could be a big move from a hedge fund. It could be a bank loading up a position. It could be an algo triggering. The why behind it, I wouldn't say is actually necessarily that important. For me, it's almost like, in general, I don't put too much stock into pre-market moves. But the entire narrative, right, yesterday, or even the overnight PA is like it's the tariff headline, right? Or it's the tariff news. So seeing that big move happen isn't necessarily surprising. These moves can effectively happen randomly, right? But we have the headline to basically explain any of those types of aggressive, basically bits of price action. So I'm not going to put too much stock into it. But overnight, you get pretty low liquidity. So it's easier, we'll say, right, to get kind of those like over dramatic type breakouts. And that certainly sounds like a good variant of that here this AM. So, if it was like no headline, right, on Sunday, there was no reason to be optimistic, and then you got like that mega 200-point move. Yeah, that's probably something one would need to investigate. But I think we can explain this still. It's maybe a lazy answer, but I think we can probably still explain this just with the headlines that are out in the market. That type of size move isn't unexpected for that headline. So Netflix, one of the only companies that's actually gapping down, which is pretty interesting. And then Google's getting its ass kicked recently. This is kind of fascinating. And Sorry, lower low, lower high, decreasing volume. So it's a 1 for 3, and it's basically just stuck in that Wednesday range. So all right, sweet. And then the old Vixaroonie. Wow, we haven't seen it under 20 in a very, very, very long time. Two things here, right? That means. So one, the implied move that we're expecting right here today is going to be a little bit less, right? So 19 divided by 6, we'll call that like, 1 point, or sorry, divided by 16, call that like 1.2%, right, of implied volatility, something along those lines, 1.3%. We're well above that type of size move here already today, right? We're at nearly 2% of daily range. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean here too much. When you get those breakouts outside of extreme or when you get breakouts that are larger than the implied range, that's also a really good indication, right? That momentum is strong and that the trend is really strong. And getting breakouts from overextended bits of price action is actually a really good sign here of continuation. So if we see strength early, that's going to set ourselves up here for a nice little kind of jolt higher. If we don't, then, I think we're probably setting ourselves up for fake outs and maybe like a kind of mean reversion type day. Maybe the most likely outcome here to a certain extent is like closing at 5,800, right? Or like 2,700 or 2,600, right? Basically in the middle of the pre-market range. But let's see, right, where that enthusiasm shows up, or if we can get that sort of clean and consistent story. Any questions here this morning, team? Anything that's maybe sticking out? Anything that, maybe wasn't clear here today, or didn't make any sense, or anything along those lines? How do we feel? Everyone feeling sharp? Everyone feeling good? Love that, Vinny. I'm ready for this week here too. So all it is, Mike, I'll give you a quick little rundown here, right, is basically when we get the opening range breakout and the first breakout from the range is a fake out, then you're generally expecting a fake out then in the other direction. And then instead of looking for breakouts, right, through the opening range high, you're looking for basic breakouts then through the fake out lows or the fake out highs, right? So once you get that increasing volume breakout through, that then becomes your signal, right, for clean price action. And then obviously on the flip side, if you get that breakout and it occurs on volume, right, then cool, you're in normal conditions. If it breaks out and holds above the opening range, but it doesn't give volume, then you want to wait for the third candle, right, third candle of the day or second candle, right, post breakout to then also occur on volume. So it's just giving us like a slightly extra filter, but the pattern itself is really basic and really simple. And it's one that we've seen here play out quite a bit, right? So here's an example of a failed move. So breaks out, right, holds. Next candle isn't on increasing volume. Okay, gives you a little bit of a move here to the downside, but then eventually does go green to red. Fake out here higher, fake out here lower. Only once it gives you that increasing volume breakout through the fake out low does it give you some sort of element of consistent price action. So we'll be looking for that here throughout the day. And I think that it's a pretty clean pattern, I think, for us to take advantage of. And it's just going to slow me down here a little bit. What I do like about if we get that fake out scenario is it kind of starts to align things with where I was trading best last week, right? So if I'm thinking back to my trades there last week, it was sort of like the trades that I took in the 9 o'clock hour or like the early 10 o'clock hour that I ended up getting the most amount of frustration on, either the smallest moves or fake outs or like big P&L wins that turn into like scratch trades or losses. This seemingly, based on sort of like the studying I did here this weekend, should help me avoid that. And it's going to help me sync up basically those later in the morning trades if we establish those fake out conditions. So hopefully, right, strong session. and we can kind of take advantage of some of these opportunities here this AM. But yeah, Manji, I want to give you credit for this. You kind of asked me a question there last week. I can't remember if it was on Wednesday or Thursday, about how can you tell if it's a bearish fake out or continuation, and that really got my brain spinning here. And yeah, kind of got that sort of idea from that. So just want to say thank you, give you the credit for that. And yeah, hopefully we have ourselves a really nice day here, and we absolutely crushed today's market. All right, so that's market open. I've already got my cup of coffee here in front of me. So let's see, yeah, how things kind of shape up, where momentum kind of comes together, and hopefully can go from there. Like I say, so I'm a week here into my new life, if you want to call it that, to be very dramatic, and getting really used, right, or a bit more used to sort of the timing and the lifestyle and all this kind of stuff here. Kind of getting back into my exercise routine and all that sort of beautiful things. So feeling sharp, feeling really motivated, feeling really good actually here this AM. So I'm very excited to be trading with you all here this week. Last week still maybe felt a little bit chaotic, figuring out on my sleep schedule and all that kind of stuff. And excuse me, getting used to like, going to bed at 9 o'clock and all that fun stuff. It's certainly a little bit of effort here, but talk about champagne problems, but excited, guys, very, very excited for this morning. All right, so pretty big range, right, on NQ, 100 points to start the day off. Yeah, I found last week to be like one of the most frustrating weeks of my year, I would say, right, from a trading perspective, because I just saw so many trades evaporate in front of my eyes. And that's got to be like the most frustrating feeling. Like we had literally that one trade, I think it was on Thursday, where I was up 1,600 and in 2 seconds I got stopped out. And it's like, how the heck does that happen? And then how the heck do I let that happen, right? So all of those kind of criteria or those kind of characteristics, they're just not fun, right? They're just not fun to deal with that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's see how the day shapes up here, team. Hopefully we can get some joy. So obviously now, right, what we're looking for here is how strong, right, this initial reaction or initial breakdown through the opening range low is, or through the high. If it's really enthusiastic, if it's really strong, we're going to be in interesting shape. If it's kind of funky and choppy and bouncy and snooty, then we know we need to be patient, right, and deliberate and kind of slow ourselves down here. So I want to be really focused here this morning, basically just identifying just the strongest kind of reactions, and hopefully, right, we can get a variant of that here this morning. Makes sense to everyone? Everyone kind of on the same page here this AM? Someone kind of clear with what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling? Beautiful. Good. Okay, so again, right, we want to see how this candle breaks down. And definitely a pretty bouncy start, right? Definitely a pretty bouncy start. So objectively, right, probably not going to get that increasing volume here on the second candle. So now we're going to be waiting, right, to see what that third candle of the day is telling us. Is it giving us that increasing volume, or is it going to tell us that, hey, it's a double fake out type scenario? Heck, this might even close inside the opening range, which would indicate, right, double fake outs. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, that did close just under, but it closed on a decreasing volume standard. So again, right, this is going to slow me down here just a little bit. Now expecting a fake out to occur here to the upside. And we're just going to be a little bit more, a little bit slower here this AM, right? I think that's ultimately what markets are telling me. On CL, let's take a look. If it loads. Ooh. Come on. This is some bullshit. Okay, cheers, Ajay. I don't know why my trading view is being so slow. Every now and then, it's not very nice to me. Yeah, so inside bar on both NQ and ES, Joe. Inside bar on both ES and NQ. And now we're looking, right, to see, does this second candle here go increasing volume relative? So I mean second, right, as in the second candle outside of the opening range. So if this candle, right, gives me bigger volume than the candle that broke out, maybe has a chance. Trading view is going to drive me nuts today. Excuse me, I got the hiccups all morning. What the heck? Okay, decreasing volume, right? So again, fake out scenario is pretty much in store for us. Same thing here on CL, right? It's a pretty clear fake out above the opening range high, increasing volume. So now we're expecting a fake out to occur here lower, and then we're going to be looking for breakouts above 63.35 or whatever that fake out low is. Same thing here on NQ, right? So we're expecting now a fake out to occur here at some point to the downside. Go from there, and we'll see if it happens on the 5 min as well. The pattern recognition I did over the weekend was on the 5-min time frame. So very clearly one on ES. So let's see. We got some time here still. Gosh, it feels weird to not already have 6 trades. What's going on? All right, one sec here, TB, right back. All right, sorry, I just had to top up the coffee there. All right, NQ dumping a little bit, but not on a tremendous volume standard. If we're going to describe what this price action is here so far, what would we feel? What do we think? Sort of the narrative, I guess. Yeah, so same thing here, right, on CL. Because we had that fake out there initially to start the session off, we're expecting there a fake out to occur here to the downside first, right? Once that fake out gets established, then we're going to be looking for a breakout above that range, right? Or potentially through this fake out low. So we have had some mean reversion setups trigger there, right? On sort of the longer time frames. ES, NQ, right, and CL all gave me those signals, right? So if I go here, right, I'm getting all of those types of stories for sure. And if it wants to load. You have to be 805, 765. So we need a pretty decent pullback here. Yeah, so if we're going to be trading the opening range here, guys, right? We're in fake out conditions, right? So we need to see basically that get established here, right? Prior to me being willing to trade that as like an opening range type move. Yeah, 100% Mark, right? It's very much what it is. It's like all headline in like people who basically front run the headline, right? Who were well positioned for it. You know, how can you not take that gift, right? It's such a big move higher. So how can you not take that gift? Okay, so there's potentially our fake out low, 750. Now we want to see, right, a fake out high, and then we can have some clean PA. So yeah, I mean there's pros and cons to this technique, right, or to this change. Obviously, the pro here is hopefully that hey, it's going to increase win rate, right, and decrease fakeouts, which would be fantastic. But the con, right, is we're going to get less action. It's going to be less busy, right? It's going to be less opportunities, right? Potentially, we're going to filter out basically a lot of price action in between, or basically as we wait for all of our like ducks to line up in a row. I don't think I've ever used that phrase before. So yeah, that definitely is where things set up. You know, maybe on a day like today, you know, maybe it is a better mean reversion type day than it is to play the opening range. I mean, one could make that argument, I think, with some conviction. But I'm going to be pretty patient here. There's a certain element of like paranoia, right? Where I don't want to get faked out, guys. Like I really don't. Like for me, there's no worse feeling. Like it's definitely the thing that if I'm thinking about my own personal trading, the two things that drive me nuts and set me over the top is getting faked out and seeing big wins turn into losses. Like those are the two things that trigger the worst out of my psychology. So I almost want to be like overcorrecting to basically make sure that those things are impossible. I know it's kind of annoying, but for me, very important to basically behave that way. And if it takes me longer, right, to get my action, so be it. It's not a big deal. Yeah, and that's kind of what this pattern is establishing, Vinny, right? So, you know, if we're looking, let's just go back to NQ here, right? It's a fake out higher, fake out lower, and then the breakout happens, you know, 10:15, 10:30, right? So it's like let markets be temperamental, shake out all the kind of weak price action, and then once it's kind of punished both sides, then it can give us a nice move. That's effectively right the pattern. So I think we're on the same page there. Like I think that feeling is also supported effectively by the data relative to the sort of pseudo backtest I did here this weekend. And so one thing, right, that maybe is in Bull's favor here. Yeah, 100%, Vinny, 100%. Is I haven't seen any bears yet since I've moved to Whistler, which is surprising to a certain extent. So probably need to see one of those in the mornings before we want to go any full aggressive bearish price action. Yeah, so far so good. I think that would have probably just been a stop out there on the NQ 10 min ORB. Sorry, not ORB, mean reversion. So kind of looks like fake outs right now to the downside. So feeling relatively vindicated in being patient here so far. It's annoying, it's boring, but profitable trading doesn't have to be exciting. Exciting should be all the stuff we do with our freedom, right? With our capital, with our money, with our time. Um, yeah, like one of the mental tricks I guess I used to tell myself is that like I like to be disciplined for those 90 minutes, right? Because it allows me to be undisciplined in every other element of my like financial life. So by being more structured and more disciplined when I'm trading, I don't really have to worry about money outside of trading. Right. So it allows me to I bought a bike here recently and holy smokes, did bikes get expensive? But it's like, okay, well, I can make that purchase, not to think about it, right? Or like, oh, I can get the appetizer at dinner and the nicer bottle of wine. I don't have to think about it. So it kind of unlocks, right, that I don't have to worry about the bill type sensation. And that's a great place to be. The reason it was making me laugh, right, is I think there's a few things that are making me laugh here recently on social media. One of the big trends that I'm seeing from influencers here is like the uh, Andrew Tateification of basically like trading gurus, right? Where it's like, oh, if you're not doing X, that's why you're an unprofitable trader, and that stuff makes me laugh. And like the big trend I'm seeing here recently from people is like, oh, like you're not a profitable trader because you're watching too much porn or like you're buying too many playboys or whatever it might be. And it makes me laugh because one of the best traders I ever worked with, I've talked about this guy before, his name was Steph. He was sort of like my mentor, if you want to call it that, the Greek guy with the terrible garlic breath. But he used to do these trips. They were like sex vacations, and he would go to Thailand via Amsterdam. So when I see all these posts like, oh, this guy's you're not a profitable trader because of XYZ, I just think of Steph, who is like pure degenerate outside of markets. And it's like, it's got nothing to do with it. Yeah, facts, James. Yeah. I don't know, might have to start doing subscriptions through OnlyFans here if that ends up proving out. Uh, yeah, I mean, all of the guys on Wolf of Wall Street were freaking degenerates. Like you don't have to be a good person to be a good trader, right? You really don't. It is a different skill set, but if you want to feel like fulfilled in life, then that's a different story. Well, I think if you want to run a prop firm, you probably do need to be a degenerate. You got to be a lying, cheating scumbag. It seems to be the type that do it. Nice work, Kiki. See you tomorrow. In and out. Beautiful. Yeah. So again, still need to see breakdowns then, right, through the fake out lows, if anything, right? But still haven't really seen that fake out higher here. So being really patient. I would say if anything, right, CL's probably the most appealing here. That's been the cleanest breakdown so far this morning. So if I were to focus on anything, right, for that breakdown move, it would be on CL. We'd be going like 62.50 here would be our target. Oh, also want to say, right, I did forget to mention this. Apologies. Happy belated Mother's Day to all of the wonderful women who are part of the DTR team. Hope you all had yourselves a wonderful day of celebration there yesterday and were treated like absolute superstars. All right, so I'll be watching CL here to the downside. And we're still looking for the pullback entry technique. That sounds fantastic, Mike. Perfect. I'm sure he's yapping away, Herschel. Yeah, good question, Nick. So I wouldn't say that Mondays specifically are generally slower, but when you get such a big move overnight, that generally isn't like a reason to slow down our price action. So just overnight, right, we had like basically 2% of range. And so when you get moves that are kind of like outlier type sized, that generally tends to just create a slower market backdrop or a slower market environment. Excuse me. I think I was a little bit premature in bragging about how I'm getting used to my wake up times here. Okay, so a little inside breezy. Now we're pretty much just continually getting, right, these like longer term mean reversion type scenarios seem to be pretty consistently what appears to be triggering here for us. But yeah, no, we're definitely looking for a breakdown here on CL. And we could use the 5-min time frame now as well. So 62.96 would be the stop loss on the short, right? 62.96. And again, right, we haven't made a lower low, so we're still looking on the pullback entry technique. And it might go aggressive here in a second, just did. So now we're setting our stop loss 62.88. And so watching here closely. Okay, I'm going to watch here, team, watching closely CL short. Give me a gentle pullback here. Oh, I might have just missed it. It's got to be 79 or better. Okay, still potentially in play. And I'd be looking at 5 contracts here. Just be patient. Too fast. I'm going to stay away. Too fast. And NQ and ES not really giving us any separation here yet. So yeah, pretty slow, bouncy, sticky, whatever disgusting adjective you want to use. So far, so chill. It's kind of funny, right? Once you try to find the right words here, but once you identify that, hey, it's probably going to be fake out conditions, right? Or it's going to be kind of choppy conditions based on what the opening reaction was to the range. It feels so much easier to basically just sit and wait, right, for things to kind of become perfect. It's like it removes a lot of that pressure we put on ourselves to make a decision. Funny how that works, right? The more proactive you are, the calmer you feel. And yeah, good decision to have not taken CL. I've got 2 problems here for myself on a personal level this morning. I have like about a cajillion paper cuts that are just like so annoying, and I have the hiccups, which is also like double annoying. Okay, and Q still kind of hanging out those lows. Still need to see that fake out higher. ES, same thing. CL, a little bit interesting. Biggest volume of the day on that reversal. Could we do something like this? 62.97. Something like that. Oh, maybe my dog could help. All right, let's watch CL here. 62.97, right, would be the stop loss. 5-min time frame. Textbook reversal, right? Fake out through the lower range. Let's watch. Here to be 5 contracts. 5 contracts. And I'm looking for under 63.07. Right. So I'm kind of looking for this area, right? That area to act as my support here for a continuation move. I'm seeing that spread be a little bit bouncy. Albeit not to my benefit. Ooh, big move. Maybe do this. Oh, let's stick to it. So again, right, 63.07 is what I'm looking for here. Sorry, 63.06 is what I'm looking for here. So let's see if we get the correct little feeling on the pullback, right? Oh, interesting. That's like basically waterboard your hiccups. Yeah, NQ and ES not moving. So really good judgment there, team. Really, really good judgment. We have a chance for this next candle to go increasing volume as well, right? So still in play. What's the time? 10:09. Maybe play this as like a 10-min reversal. Gives me a better profit target, 63.87. Pretty much don't want to see this go past like 63.08 if we're going to go the aggressive technique. Alternatively, you could do something like this on the pullback. Again, you'd be looking at that 63.06, right? So pretty much the same logic, right, we had on that previous idea. So again, watching here, 62.97 would be the stop loss, entry under 63.06, assuming, right, we get the right pullback. Far too fast. Come on, give me a chance here. Excuse me. Okay, back in business here, watching closely on CL. Oh, that's a flirt. All right, 3 cents. Come on. It's only given us one little attempt here into my entry zone, and it wasn't on a very good feeling reaction. So I'm okay to be patient here, right? If I don't get a trade, it's not a big deal. If I do get a trade, right, it's not a big deal. I'm trying to judge myself here on the quality of my decisions, not the quantity of my decisions. Okay, so again, watching here, right, we're starting to creep up in towards that area. Come on. Hey guys, I am in average price 63.06, stop loss 62.97, and I have 5 contracts here. Oh, come on. Give me that push here. Give me that push. Come on, let's go here, CL. Let's go. Stop fucking around. Kind of a slow start here on this move. There, it starts to push. All right, so now it's got to really sustain this follow through here, right? Has to really sustain this follow through. Now, double inside bar look is probably not what I expected here post entry. So let's see if it can sustain. Gonna be a little bit slow here, but that's the way it goes sometimes. So let's even keep pushing. We're in better shape here. Just might have jinxed it. Yeah, double inside bar post entry, probably not ideal. And there we go. Took the stop loss. Oh, fuck me. You know, the frustrating thing is it might be setting. Range on NQ here is nasty. Same thing with ES. Indexes aren't giving us really a tradable look here yet this AM. But CL didn't behave maybe the way I expected on that first attempt. I mean, CL might give me another chance here if it can give me a strong close. Maybe not going to happen. Kind of a strong close to the downside. Not quite outlier volume, right? Just under. So I'm going to pass this on to the 5. Okay, so again, right, 63.06 to the upside would be the stop loss. Might switch to the aggressive here, which would go 97, right? Deja vu. Go short here, 62.97 stop loss. You're looking for a gentle pullback, right, into an appropriate entry zone. I can go 7 contracts on this. Maybe even 8. Again, let's watch this reaction, right? That was too fast of a pullback. Okay, now it's going to be challenging for me to execute this. So waiting it out. Okay, not enough volume there on the 3-min. Need to see now increasing volume on a breakdown through these blue lines on the indexes, right? Or some sort of increasing outlier momentum breakdown. This would be the initial fake out. And there's your increasing volume breakdown. So 79 would be your stop loss here, called 80. And this has a chance here on the 5. On the 5-min, right? This is your fake out low. Same setup here on the 3-min. Excuse me. CL's 63.15. That's ruthless. What's the time? 10:30. Beautiful. Okay, good close. So 746 would be your stop loss. Okay, now give me a gentle pullback here, right? Come on, gentle, gentle, gentle. Hey guys, I am in Average price here, 720 on the dot. One contract. Stop loss at 46. Let's see if this thing can break down through 700, right? So far, so good here. So far, so good. Okay, here we go. Watching closely, right? This should be our spot where we start to get a pretty aggressive flush. Beautiful. Come on, sustain. Keep pushing here. Keep pushing. Not the right reaction, I would argue here. Give it a second. Come on. Come on, get going. And this candle's been a fight in the worst way possible. Gotta break down. Gotta. Okay, guys, I have closed this trade. Right? Bad candle shape. Didn't hold under that 700. So we're failing, right, on those criteria. So we're going to reset this. I closed that for at 713.50. Close that at 713.50. Bad candle shape. So I think that was a good decision to have closed there. Just wasn't behaving, right? Super strong. So just take the win and run. Great exit, Preet. Great exit. Well done. Should put you nicely green here on the day. Again, we effectively have still the same setup active here, but we're trying to basically get price action to start behaving here nicely, right? That wasn't a very nice behavior. The fact that it made lower lows, pulled back to entry price, and then kind of like flirted, right, with our entry, not a good feeling. So I'd rather get out, get in partial, and try again. Nice work, Herschel. Pretty impressive from CL, making me feel better about not missing Bupkis. Okay, so I'm still watching here on this 10-min time frame. Ooh. Okay, watching. And what I want here, right, is a better entry price than what I had on that previous attempt. This is starting to get into that potential range here. All right, guys. So I am back in one contract here. I can't find my price. 735, one contract. Stop loss still at that 46, which I just took. Oh, that was literally by half a tick. A very small loss, fine. Maybe it was a little bit aggressive. Now we have this in play. 743 stop loss for a long. Okay, watching. Give me a gentle pullback here. Come on. Motherfucker. Gentle. Okay, guys, so I am back in long this time. One contract, 767.25. Stop loss, 743. Okay, and let's see if this thing can keep pushing. Much better reaction here early. Albeit I do feel like I missed my perfect entry, right? I had one in the 50s. I could have gone like 3 contracts and I just couldn't find the trigger on it. And this is helpful for no one. Okay, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Beautiful. Keep going here, NQ. Keep going. We're looking now for the reaction around 800, right? Realistically. There's a decent part of me that wants to just take this and run. Okay, there's 20 points. Get over 90. Come on. There it goes. Let's see if this thing can keep pushing. Come on. Push, push, push. Now get over 800. Come on. This is close. Come on. Come on. Okay, guys, I have just pyramided in here. I have just pyramided. That makes my average price 783.25. And I'm going to have my stop loss here at my entry. Okay, it's got to push. Come on, push, push, push. Does put me now green here on the day. Keep going here, baby. Keep going. Again, guys, stop loss is at my average price, right? So I don't have a ton of space here, which is called 784 stop loss, 784 stop loss. Okay, it's got to break out here. Got to break out. My fill on that trade was at 801 on my pyramid. I actually wanted to get in the 700s, which I didn't get. Come on, push, push, push. Want to see this candle close above 8? Doesn't look like that's going to happen. Okay, so got to look for an exit here. Got to look for an exit. Give me a little pop here. Come on, give me a little pop. Come on. Come on, go, 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 go. Last chance saloon. Come on, go. This behavior is a little bit demoralizing. Can't seem to find an exit. Come on. Well, Joe, I'm in a bullish trade here right now, right? So I'm not sure what that comment means, right? I'm in a long, so we're looking to get out of this position because it's not giving me the correct reaction. But watching here closely, I'm desperate to try to get an 801 or better exit. Hey, maybe I have a chance here. Watching. Hey, give me this big pop here. Give me a big pop. Come on. Well, you can see my position here right on my screen, right? You can see my position there right on my screen. Okay, guys, I am out. 809. Double check that price. Sorry. Sold my 2 contracts. 809.75. All out. 809.75. Beautiful. Woo. That was not an easy exit. Really had to be patient. Nice work, Preet. $1,100 on the day is fantastic. Congratulations. But Joe, yeah, you can always you can see my position here right on my screen, right? It says NQ long 767.25, stop at 743. So I'm not quite sure how else to make that more clear and obvious. That was a really nice win there, team. That was a really, really nice win. And a very good exit. Very, very good exit. So just a little bit over $1,000 there on that trade. Beautiful, right? Sitting on a nice day here. A little bit calmer, right, than last week. So feeling good. That pyramid was a good decision, all things considered. Made it maybe a little bit more stressful than I wanted. But great trade, guys. Great trade. So once we're in a position, Joe, right, we need to see a couple things to look for a continuation narrative. So we need to see price action hold our higher highs, right, or hold our point of resistance, which in this context, was 800. So we needed to have seen this candle hold 800, do it with a strong candle shape, and do it with an increasing volume profile. We didn't hold 800. We had a reasonably strong candle shape, but we didn't have a very strong volume profile. So, that tells me, right, that bulls aren't really taking the ball from bears in that situation. So I need to be looking for an exit, not looking to build up my position here further. So bears are maybe failing to defend, but bulls aren't taking the control on that failure. So it failed my post-entry test. So I got to take that trade and run. And that's exactly what we did here. Maybe the reason why I got maybe a little bit snotty there, right? And I mean this in the nicest way possible, is I just can't look for confirmation bias, right? Once I'm in a position, I have to be basically following my rules, following my technique, and ignoring all other analysis. So once I'm in a trade, right, I'm not going to be looking at the 3 min or the 5 min or the 30 min or a different time frame to tell me something else. I'm simply just going to be looking for, hey, how can I best execute my rules here in this context? Follow my technique, follow my system, and make sure I set myself up for success within that context. Hey, how you doing? Average second entry price was at 801 on the dot. It was 801 on the dot. And then closed at 2 contracts, right, at 809.75. So it made me an extra, $160, something like that. Not terrible. So it puts me now nicely green here on the day, right? Can't really complain. Truth be told, though, right, on that NQ edition that I did, I wanted to get like 798, 799, whatever. I got a little bit maybe too aggressive on that. So I could have gotten a better price, a deeper pullback, which would have made that trade probably feel a little bit less anxious. But all things considered, I'm pretty happy with how I added there and then how I managed that position once I was in it. That was, I think, a really nice positive. Felt very calm, relative, right? Stop loss was at entry price, Antonin, always is. And I'm willing, it's effectively a mental stop loss, right? So I'm willing to give it, a point buffer here, a point buffer there. But it's always the same thing, right? It's stop loss at my entry price, at my average price. I think we saw a couple flirts of 84, maybe like an 83.25, which is trusted, right? That the candle shape was strong enough that I was going to get a bounce. How's everyone feeling today? Back to normal here this morning, right? Feeling a little bit better. Objectively, I would say that there's one trade I shouldn't have taken, and I can already identify that one, right? That was the short here, right? Probably shouldn't have taken that, but besides that, everything else I've been pretty happy with. And that was we pretty much top take that exit, right? Within like 6 points. That's a pretty good feeling. Whew. So what do you guys think? Keep pushing, keep trading, or call it a day? What do you guys think? Always, AJ. If we can get another good setup, yeah, let's take a look. Yeah, so far the reaction at 800's been meh. Like, it's not exactly been an enthusiastic breakout from bulls and not exactly an enthusiastic defense from bears. It's 11 a.m., so I'm kind of like right on the edge. Yeah, if I can get one more A plus within a reasonable time frame for sure. Not sure if I'm going to. Excuse me. Is everyone green on the day here today? Everyone green? Love it, team. Good, good. I still need to, excuse me, I still need to figure out how to. Yeah, first trade of the day every day seems to be a slap in the face. That's something I still need to think about a little bit here. Yeah, I might have to do that. The guarantee though, Benny, right? We paper trade that first setup of the day. It's guaranteed to be a winner. That's how it always works. Yeah, absolute guarantee. What I will say here, which I think is probably pushing me a little bit towards not taking a further trade, is we have been in kind of a pathetic range here all morning. We've seen kind of like two interesting candles pretty much all day, and they were back to back. And then it's back to that kind of like choppy bullshit range we've kind of been experiencing here all day. So I'm not super confident that there's like another clean or easy look. So I'm more interested in just probably taking this win and running. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure if there's like the risk reward of now turning this into a red day. I don't think is worth it. Yeah, Ali, I've got no complaints. Yeah, and I think we've navigated the chop reasonably well here, Mike. But if it's going to be chop and then stuck, I think that's just a scenario where I set myself up to like exert a lot of mental capital without the expectation of being able to get like the reward required to take that risk. So I'm kind of happy to be on a green day here. I don't think I need to do anything else. As much as I would like to trade more. Like 3 for 5 on the day is pretty good. I'll take that. Not sure if I need to do too much else. All right, team. Yeah, I've talked myself out of it. I'm logging out of my accounts. Not giving myself the temptation. I think if I'm yeah, maybe that's something for the afternoon here, Robert, potentially. But if I'm thinking about Friday, right? I think Friday was a really frustrating day because made back my money, went back to red, and then made back that again. And I finished the day less than what I was before I started pressing. So I'm not going to allow myself to basically repeat that mistake. That's really the conclusion I've come to here. And I'm happy to just be green. I'm happy to just be green. All right, team, any questions here? Any questions? Love it, Mike. Love it, love it, love it. Nah, Ali, I mean, I would love to keep pushing, right? But the market's not moving. So, like, the market has the opportunity to be far more stubborn than me. I don't want to get stuck in basically choppy conditions. We see things being really sticky here. So I don't see the value, right? Or I don't see the risk reward in being hyper aggressive. Yeah, absolutely not, Robert. And we've kind of been um chopped about here a reasonable amount, right? So yeah, I don't want to keep rewarding kind of bad behaviors. It's not worth it, for my opinion. Let's take a look here. Volume's not enough. Volume's not enough. Any other questions here, team? Any other questions? So 632.02 on the day, right, per account. I can't really complain about that. Brings my balance right to 152,650.48 on the family account. We're just gonna call this pyramid because I did pyramid here today. All right, team. Final call for questions. I forgot my journal entry on Friday. Whoops. Oh, actually, so I'm just looking at my order history here. I actually did get filled at $7.99 on my pyramid. My limit price was $8.01, and I got filled at $7.99. So I just wanted to make that correction here. All right, guys. Any other questions here? Any other questions? I'm just trucking along. P&L here at all-time highs. No real complaints. So I'll go final call for questions here, team. Final call for questions. And yeah, we've missed out on absolutely nothing here. So as much as I would have wanted to have placed another trade, it was not good enough conditions to do so. So I'm happy to kind of be, yeah, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more chill. And it's been a nice little win streak here last few days, right? It's like 5 green days here in a row. Well, we've not really gotten that like separation day here for a while, right? That big winning day, that, 10K plus across accounts type session. So it's two things, right, to think about there. One, don't get discouraged. Big wins come from a consistent, repeatable process. But then also understanding, right, why the reason that I haven't had those big days is because I've just been kind of like a self-sabotaging idiot, right? Last week, maybe traded with a little bit too much anxiety, put a little bit too much pressure on myself. And that turned into basically being greedy, right? Being indecisive, and kind of not taking my big wins when they were there. So the P&L is going to come, right, by focusing and forcing myself to really focus on improving my technique. I think today was a good step in that direction, right? Didn't allow myself to get greedy, took my P&L off as it was closing. Basically followed all my rules here really well. Maybe one trade there's a little bit of an exception. But all things considered, I should be pretty happy with how I traded here today, and I am. I think that there's some nice progress to be made here for us, right? And we can keep kind of building up and improving and getting a little bit better. And so from that perspective, right, I'm pretty happy with how things kind of went. Ideally, right, the more that I focus on these techniques, right, the more that I focus on managing my P&L, closing it as it's increasing and not allowing myself to get greedy, the sooner I'm going to have that 10K day again, right? And so it's basically just making sure I don't put the cart before the horse. I want to make sure that I'm controlling all the variables I can here well and optimizing for that long-term success, not just that like short-term dopamine rush. I think last week a little bit, I wanted the big win, right? I wanted the big reward, especially after starting the week off with a bit of an ass kicking. And I want to almost overcorrect for that here this week, for lack of a better term. So really happy with how I traded here today, really happy with how I behaved. All things considered, I think it's a nice improvement, getting a little bit better each and every single day. And I don't have too much to complain about or feel stressed about. Life is good here. So same deal like always here, team, right? If you have any questions, hit me up outside of market hours. I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. And then hopefully, right, we get out of this sort of range bound early morning PA at some point here this week, and we set ourselves up for what should be a really, really successful trading week. But it's a good Monday, good start to the week here, team. Excited, right, to be kind of finding a rhythm here again. And it's impossible to complain after 5 green days in a row. So same deal like always, right? If you have any questions, hit me up outside of market hours. Otherwise, it's time for me to go walk the dog and get ready for some one-on-one calls. So looking forward to catching up with a few of you here later this afternoon or this morning. And can't wait to trade with you guys again here tomorrow. So have yourselves a great day, and we'll talk soon. Peace.